It is my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Joe Glover, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Glover is the Chief Academic Officer of the University of Florida. He received his bachelor's degree in mathematics from Cornell, his master's degree in mathematics from the University of California, and his doctoral degree in mathematics from the University of California. He started his career at the University of Florida in 1983 as an assistant professor in, you guessed it, mathematics. He must really like math, and has held multiple positions here at UF on his way to provost. You've all heard over the last couple of days about our Top 10 Preeminence Initiative, and Dr. Glover is the primary architect around our plan to get to the top 10, which, as you know, is one of the most significant plans, one of the most significant strategic plans, perhaps in the history of the University of Florida. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Glover.
Okay, thank you. If you would all put away your books and take out a pencil and a sheet of paper, we'll have the quiz. No, just kidding. I sound sort of one-dimensional, mathematics. Can he do anything else? Sadly, no. Well, thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time listening to me. I would like to talk about the University of Florida's push to the top 10 and preeminence, but I thought I would start out by giving you a few facts about the new year, because this is a new year for us. This is the time of year when a lot of new people roll into the university, and this is a massive enterprise, and fortunately I'm not in charge of it. Student Affairs is in charge of getting over 10,000 new faces settled on this campus every year. Just to give you some idea, we have 6,376 new freshmen who have enrolled at the University of Florida this fall. We've got 2,682 new graduate students, and we have 1,303 new transfer students. And if you add that up, that's 10,361 new faces who've come to this campus to get an education for the first time. So we're really delighted to have them here. As you can imagine, they're really some of the best and brightest from the state of Florida, and indeed from around the nation, and maybe even a few from around the world. So we're really pleased to have them here. As you can tell if you've walked around the campus, the energy level on the campus is really high. Everyone is excited to be here. And of course, something's happening tomorrow. I don't know what it is. I think we're playing Toledo, only no one has explained to me whether it's Toledo, Ohio, or Toledo, Spain, so I hope to find out tomorrow who that is we're playing. So the University of Florida has a lot of interesting achievements under its belt, and I would just like to give you a couple of examples to demonstrate how we're moving ahead and trying to bring value to the state of Florida and to the economy and the nation. One of the really exciting innovations that we have on the campus is Gator. We have a new supercomputer on the University of Florida campus. In fact, it is the state's fastest supercomputer. It does 150 trillion calculations per second. And if you can imagine what that means, it means if reading a book was equivalent to one calculation, it could read all of the millions of books in the UF libraries multiple times every second. It's really, really fast. To put it into other terms, which is really sort of dramatic, we have a professor down in the College of Medicine who works on new drug discovery. And he has this program where he takes a basic drug molecule and he switches in atoms and molecules here and there and then tests them to see how they work. And as you can imagine, switching in and out all possible combinations of molecules in a complicated drug is a pretty lengthy calculation. And in fact, it normally takes him 8 months to accomplish one of those tests on a particular type of drug. With Gator, when we were able to install it, that was cut down to 8 hours. Okay? It went from 8 months of computation to 8 hours of computation. And that gives you some idea of how stupendous this new supercomputer is. And what that means is not only are we going to be able to do drug discovery a lot faster than we used to be able to do it, but there are now a lot of problems that we never even tackled before because we thought we couldn't possibly do them, that they would take 10 years on a computer. And 10 years on a desktop or an IBM computer would now take a matter of hours or perhaps days on the Hypergator. So we're really excited about that. Universities from around the state and around the country have been arriving at UF in a steady stream to understand what we've done and how we've done it, and so we're really proud of that. A second thing that we've done and that we're really proud of is the Innovation Academy. It is something you may have heard about. It is a unique program. We're just about to enter the second year. We invite students to come not during the normal academic year, during the fall and the spring terms, but we invite them to come to the University of Florida in the spring and summer terms and be in residence. And this is when we offer them a special program. They can come and take any one of 30 or 40 majors, just like any other student at the University of Florida can do. But at the same time, they're pursuing one of their majors, whether it's in sociology or music or physics or business or engineering or whatever. At the same time they're doing their major, they get a minor curriculum in entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation. Because we want our students to be able to leave the university understanding how their major connects to the real world and being able to walk out the doors of this university and being able to immediately apply what they've learned. And so, in fact, we have just run the very first group of freshmen. The inaugural freshman class has just completed its first year in the Innovation Academy. There were about 320, 325 of them. We've just admitted the second class of students into the Innovation Academy. They will arrive in January of 2014, and 375 students have accepted our invitation to join the second class. So we think we're on to something here. We think that people are beginning to understand what this is all about and are becoming excited about it, and we have more and more students expressing an interest in it. We are soon going to be breaking ground on an innovation dormitory, which will in part serve the Innovation Academy, and it's where students will have a live, learn, work, play environment in which young entrepreneurs will either be running their own business while they're students at the University of Florida, or where they will be learning how to run a business at the University of Florida. We actually have a lot of students in our freshman class each year who arrive at the University of Florida having already started business or are in the process of running a business. We want to nurture that. We think that's important for the Florida economy. We think that's important for your communities. And so we are focused on bringing the fruits of the educational program at the University of Florida and making sure that that infuses into the economic mainstream of the state. So we're really sort of excited about the programs that we have here. Those are just two examples of the things that we've done recently and that we're beginning to continue to develop. And as I was talking to Danita, we were talking about the things that the Gator clubs could do for us. One of the things that the Gator clubs could do and could participate in would be to actually help recruit freshmen to the Innovation Academy. It is a very new program on the University of Florida campus. We're spreading the word as quickly as we can, but sometimes these things are very slow to percolate out. So we have the Innovation Academy, which is a new residential program which takes place in the in the spring and the summers, and students have off in the fall to go and do internships or residencies or other types of experiences like study abroad. And another program that we have, which is entirely new, is the eCampus, and I'm going to be talking about that in a few minutes in connection with the Preeminence Bill. So let me move on to the Preeminence Bill. President Machen, for his entire term here at the University of Florida, has been explaining to the legislature and the executive branch what the University of Florida is really capable of doing for the state if the legislature and the governor will get behind us and give us a little bit of extra resources. We could really do fantastic things. And after talking to them for about 9 years, they actually got it this past year. And we were really pleased that the legislature and the governor have lined up behind the University of Florida, and we are set to really propel this university and the state of Florida forward in the American economy, indeed in the global economy. We got 4 fantastic things. They are all in one legislative bill, which was actually House Bill 7129 in the last legislative session. It did 4 wonderful things for the University of Florida, and I want to go through each one of the four. Okay. The first thing this bill did for us was it recognized the University of Florida as the state's highest achieving preeminent university. Okay. Now, that's nothing we didn't already know, but it's nice to be recognized in public for that. And in fact, what the legislature did was it laid out 12 benchmarks to be named a preeminent university. We cleared all 12 of those benchmarks by leaps and bounds. There's one other university in the state that barely scraped over 11 of the 12. I don't think I need to mention which university that was. And in fact, you know, probably the benchmarks were set so they could barely leap over 11 of the 12. But we cleared all 12 in leaps and bounds. Okay? And as a reward or as a recognition of the University of Florida's accomplishments, the state went on to give us 3 benefits or 3 abilities or 3 mandates, depending on your point of view. The first one is they endorsed the University of Florida's push for the top 10. The University of Florida, depending on which ranking you look at, is in the top 20 public universities in this nation. Okay. We believe we have the capability, we have the smarts, we have the infrastructure, we have the drive and the determination, and we think we know what we're doing to move into the top 10 of American public universities. Okay, now we don't do this just for our own benefit to be able to say that we're in the top 10. We do that so that the education that students get here becomes more valuable, so that we are able to amp up our capabilities to drive the economy of the state of Florida in your local communities, and to really make the University of Florida and the state of Florida a powerhouse in both the national and global economies. Okay. So, how do you get to be a top 10 university? Well, in fact, we wrote down 29 different metrics that are commonly used to assess the success or the progress of a university towards being a top 10 university. They include all sorts of things that you can imagine. They include the graduation rates. They include the quality of the entering freshman class. They include the research that the faculty does, the patents and licenses. They include the success of your students, excuse me, of your graduates in getting jobs and having good careers. And when we write down all 29, which the President and I think are all possibilities, we wrote down everything we could think of, and you ask, where is the University of Florida in these 29 metrics? We are a top 5 or a top 10 public university in every single one of those metrics except for 6. In 23 out of the 29 metrics, we are already in the top 5 or top 10 publics in the nation. Okay? So we're missing 6. And so obviously we're going to be focusing our attention on those 6 missing metrics over the next 5 to 10 years, and we're going to push the university into the top 10. Now, some of those are easy. Some of them are really easy and we can do without a lot of effort or a lot of thought. Some of them are a little bit more difficult and require more sustained effort and careful investment and, frankly, a little cleverness. So let me give you 1 or 2 examples of that. Our 6-year graduation rate, what percentage of our students graduate in 6 years? 87% of the University of Florida freshmen who walk in the door graduate within 6 years. That is a really, really good national graduation rate. But we're only number 11 in the country, not number 10. So we're going to fix that. We know how to improve that. Okay? One of the harder ones to do is the student-faculty ratio, because we are a university of 50,000 students. We accept 6,500 freshmen every year. We hear the calls from alumni and many others who would like to get access for even more students into the University of Florida, but we believe that it's very important to maintain the student-faculty ratio, because when you send your son or daughter to the University of Florida, you want them to meet professors. You want them to meet the good faculty that we have here. And so we want to make sure that every student who's here has the opportunity for meaningful interactions with faculty. Whether it's in a classroom, whether it's in a laboratory, whether it's in a study abroad experience, we want the students to interact with the faculty. And so we would like to have more faculty, but we're limited by the funding that we have. Okay, so we are going to work on that with the state. And in fact, the state recognized that as a problem and gave us an additional $15 million per year for 5 years. We are going to put all of that money into hiring faculty. State said you can do with that money whatever you want. The president said every penny of that $15 million is going to go into hiring additional faculty to serve the students. So right now, as a matter of fact, we are having a conversation with the deans over which faculty are we going to hire. And that is a really exciting time and opportunity for the university. Federal research expenditures. The University of Florida brings into the state about $650 million every year in external grants and contracts. And this not only drives the research program of the university, but in fact it drives the economy of the state of Florida. Because with that money, we employ lots and lots of people. Not just faculty, we employ students, we employ postdocs, we employ laboratory technicians, we employ clerical assistants, we employ all of the infrastructure which goes to support all of that activity. So the $650 million that comes into the state every year is actually a very significant boost to the state economy. Economists estimate that that actually translates into about a $3 billion chunk of economic activity in the state. But we bring in a lot of our contracts and grants, not from federal sources, but from other sources. And one of the important metrics for top 10 university is how much do you bring in from federal sources. So we're going to concentrate our attention in the next several years into improving the federal support that we get in terms of contracts and grants. So that's our top 10 program. I hope that it appeals to you because it tends to appeal to people on several levels. If you're the type of person who'd like bragging rights and say, you know, I graduated from a top 10 university or I sent my son or daughter to a top 10 university, we think that's an enormous benefit in and of itself. But more than that, as we ramp up the capabilities of the University of Florida, we're going to be able to be delivering a better quality of service to the citizens of Florida through our outreach. You heard about IFAS Extension. You probably heard about the Health Science Center's efforts to help the state of Florida. We work with citizens and companies and organizations in the state of Florida every day of every week, of every month, of every year in order to promote a better quality of life for the citizens of Florida and to promote more economic opportunity in the state. And we will continue to do so. A second benefit of the push for top 10 status is it does ramp up the capabilities of the University of Florida. We are one of the top producers in the nation, comparing public and private universities. We are one of the tops in producing new products, new intellectual property, and in bringing them to market. There's probably not a person in the room who hasn't had a glass of Gatorade at some point or other in their life. That was actually an early invention of the University of Florida. If anyone in here has had glaucoma, we were the first inventors of a topical glaucoma drug. We were the first inventors of a drug that you put into your eye to treat glaucoma instead of swallowing it. You can imagine how much drug you swallow into your stomach actually got to your eye to treat it. We were the inventors of, or we are the inventors of the Centricon termite treatment system. We are the inventors of the entire blueberry industry in Florida, the caladium industry, the turfgrass industry. So the University of Florida is a major driver of the economy of the state of Florida. And believe me, if you took the time to call your IFAS Extension service and asked, what did IFAS do for my county? They would be able to give you a long list of the things that they've done for your county. So we hope to be able to do more. And the states that have really prospered have a top 10 university and sometimes more than one top 10 university within their borders. So that's our goal. So that's really the first concrete thing that the preeminence legislation brought for us. The second concrete thing that the preeminence legislation brought to us was the e-campus. We have been asked by the legislature to create a 4-year, high-quality, fully online set of degree programs for freshmen. Okay, so if you have a student who, for whatever reason, says, you know, I would like a University of Florida diploma, but I don't necessarily want to go to Gainesville to get it. There are lots of reasons that happens. Our News and Public Affairs division is getting ready to release a news story, and it contains an anecdote of a young lady who is a very good student, but she's sort of shy and introverted, and she decided she didn't want to come to a large, hustling, bustling campus in the city of Gainesville. So 2 years ago, she actually went to her local state college and is now enrolled online at the University of Florida. Okay, had we had the Online Institute, she would have enrolled in the Online Institute as a freshman. Okay, not only does it accommodate her lifestyle and her desires, but she's saving over $10,000 a year by living at home instead of coming to the University of Florida. So the new Online Institute is really going to do 2 major things, or 3 or 4 major things really for the state of Florida. Number one, it's going to provide additional access to students. Okay, formerly, we were limited to 6,500 freshmen per year. Now we have unlimited access. In principle, we can accept an infinite number of students in the online university. Number two, it does accommodate the desires of some students who would like to do it through an online medium and not necessarily come to Gainesville for 4 years. It may be because they'd like to save money. It may be because they have a good job and they'd like to keep that job while they study. It may be that they were in the military for a couple of years and now it just doesn't seem like that's what they want to do, come and live on the university campus for 4 years. Or maybe they have some education and they just need to complete their education. So we think that the Online Institute will offer people a lot of flexible options. Okay? I mean, the other wonderful thing about it is probably most of the courses in the Online Institute, you won't need to come Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 10 a.m. You'll be able to do them on your own time schedule. So for people who would really like a flexible time approach to learning, there's also that. So we are in the process of ramping up this Online Institute. We have, on Tuesday, right after Labor Day, we will open up the admission screen and invite anyone who would like to apply to be a student in the Online Institute to do so. All that we ask is that you be a good student, a high school graduate, be willing to work hard, and be interested in becoming a Gator. Okay? And we welcome all people to apply to us. Did I mention that this comes at a 25% tuition discount? Because the legislature actually wanted this to be an affordable experience for students as well. So they will get a 25% tuition discount, still be eligible to use their Bright Futures and Florida Prepaid, still be eligible for student financial aid. So we think it's a wonderful opportunity for students. We're very proud of the fact that we are one of the first universities in the nation to bring this type of opportunity to students. In fact, you may read in the paper about lots of universities that are involved in online education. Almost all of them are for transfer students from community colleges. We are really the first major public university in the nation that we know of to do this for freshmen. So once again, if you would like to participate in this, we could certainly use the help of Gator clubs in getting out there and spreading the word about the Online Institute and in helping students to understand that this is yet another option for attending the University of Florida. They will get a University of Florida degree, which is exactly like every other University of Florida degree. It will be no different from the degree that students get on campus. So the third thing that the legislation did, third concrete thing, and this is the last thing I'll talk about, are there any people in here who remember the C courses from long ago? There are a couple of people. Well, I don't want to date anyone in here, but probably 30 to 40, 50, 60 years ago, The University of Florida had a set of courses which were called C courses, which all freshmen took. And many people who attended the University in Florida those days remember them very, very fondly. Number one, they were high-quality courses, but equally importantly, they remembered that as an experience they had in common with all of the other freshmen. It was a bonding experience. And we've lost that over the years. As the University of Florida grew in size, we grew to 50,000 students, and if you take two students at random and ask, what courses did you two students take together? Chances are the answer is 0. So we became concerned about that, and a couple of years ago, we asked the folks in the humanities, could you construct one humanities course that would be a high-quality introduction to humanities that all University of Florida students would take? And they rose to that challenge and created a course called The Good Life. And The Good Life examines what it means to live a good life from a literary point of view, from an artistic point of view, from an economic point of view, from an ethical and moral point of view, from a religious point of view. It just uses that as a theme, and they explore the humanities. And after a couple of years of testing, this past year, we made it required of all freshmen for the first time. So this is our first common experience. It's working well, and the legislature was so interested in this, they said, you can do a full 12 credits of this. Okay, we did 3 credits with this one course. We're going to do 12 credits of it, maybe. We're at least going to do another course or 2. And so the faculty this year will be engaged in discussing what those other courses should be. And our goal, once again, is to build a signature experience that all freshmen and sophomores will share in common, because we think that this would be a wonderful bond for the University of Florida freshman class each year. So that's a little bit of what's going on at the University of Florida. We are really excited. I mean, it is such a wonderful year. I cannot emphasize that too much. The legislature has endorsed President Machen's program in terms of preeminence, in terms of rising to the top 10, in terms of creating the online institute, in terms of creating the signature courses for freshmen. Not only did they endorse all of that, they gave us money to do it. They gave us $15 million to hire more faculty to teach the students. They actually gave us money, I didn't mention it, but they gave us money to actually create as well the online institute. So we are really excited. The faculty is really excited. That enthusiasm is spreading to the students as they begin to hear more and more about this. After 5 years of a national recession and a recession in the state, it is really wonderful to be able to look forward and to really see that the university has the opportunity to advance. It is a great time to be a Gator, and it's a great time to be in a Gator club. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do for the University of Florida. I know that you're dedicated Gators by virtue of being in the Gator Club. We depend on you very heavily. We depend on you for your help. As I've mentioned in connection with getting the word out about some of these new initiatives, we can certainly use your help. In connection with fundraising, which is always important to this university, we again need your help. And you know, one of the measures of a top 10 university is the percentage of the alumni that donate to the university. And this is someplace we're always looking to improve on. My university, the University of California, San Diego, that's where I got my doctorate degree, actually has a campaign. They send out postcards to all of their alumni, and they say, please send $1, just $1. Because then we can count you as somebody who's contributed, and that pushes up the percentage of our alumni who actually contribute to the university, and that helps us to move to the top 10 as well. So we certainly appreciate your efforts in all of these areas, whichever area you would like to work in, whether it's working with prospective students, whether it's helping to get the word out about the good things that the University of Florida does, whether it's helping us to push to the top 10, whether it's helping us to get the e-campus or the signature courses established. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is going to be a really exciting year for the University of Florida, And so stay tuned and go Gators. Do you want me to take any questions, or do we have time? Okay. I'm allowed to take one or two questions if people have any. Yes, ma'am. The Online Academy, per the legislation, is actually ready to roll January 1. Now, you know, there's not a lot, we don't expect a lot of freshmen to enroll in the Online Academy January 1, so we're really looking for our big entering freshman class next September, September 2014. And on Tuesday, we will open the admissions website and begin recruiting for the Online Academy. We're creating those press materials right now, and what I will do is I will make sure that whatever we create, I make available to Danita, and she can disseminate to the clubs. And the website will be up. The website's actually up now through admissions, and we will be creating more materials, and we'll make sure you get that. Coursera? Yes, we're a member of Coursera, and we've been offering courses through Coursera. Coursera is a very interesting experiment. It's an experiment in MOOCs, which are the massive open online courses. University of Florida has experimented with, I think we've offered about 5 courses through Coursera. They are non-credit courses. Most of the Coursera courses have been non-credit. Coursera itself is moving in an interesting direction. My prediction is within 5 years, it will become a public company. It will actually be bought and acquired. So it is one of those interesting experiments in higher education. No one quite knows where that's going yet. We're in there as an experimenter so that we can remain on the cutting edge of developments. That's what I can tell you at this point. It is a very interesting experiment. It's very innovative. That's not the only thing we're involved in, however. And frankly, the direction of all of this changes on a weekly basis. So, and I would even hesitate to predict where it's going to go. Yes, ma'am. What we're doing now is we're engaging in a big university conversation to decide the areas that are going to return the biggest return on investment. $15 million sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much, okay? So we have to target that money very carefully so that we get the maximum bang for our buck and for your buck, and we use this money to propel the University of Florida as rapidly as we can into the top 10. So what we've done is we have solicited from the deans of the university proposals for investment, and they've consulted a lot of faculty. They sent us 52 proposals, okay, which the senior vice presidents have evaluated. We have recommended to the president 22 areas for investment of this $15 million, and they range from everything from mucosal immunology in the College of Medicine to Latin American studies over in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and, you know, and everything in between. And the president has taken out the recommendations of senior vice presidents and has taken them back to a faculty committee and is asking them, what do you think of these recommendations? And we'll get their input in mid-September, and then we'll probably move to hiring authorizations, and the faculty will fan out across the globe and try to hire some really, really good faculty. So it's a complicated process. We're trying to make sure that we get value for the money we invest. Yes, sir.
How will the faculty ratio be affected by the online
The ways of measuring student-faculty ratio is a little bit primitive at this point. The state and the federal government, which are the entities that do all of those ratios, they haven't quite caught up with the online world yet. And so our student-faculty ratio is largely based upon the residential campus. As more universities move into the online world, probably the federal government's going to have to adjust all the ways that it measures these things, because it does change the way the game is played. Yes, ma'am. Right.
Then there's professional groups, many times to kind of provide our students on campus in the fall. Are we starting to accommodate them with the schedule?
Yes, yes. Students have access to all of those activities, so I don't think they're missing anything. But what we're trying to build is a set of opportunities that students in the Innovation Academy are going to have exceptionally that the other students don't have. Senator Marco Rubio was here a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about bringing Innovation Academy students into his office for internships in the fall, because in the summer, when most students are out of the university, nothing's happening in Washington. Everything that happens in Washington happens in the fall, actually. So he immediately saw the opportunity to involve Innovation Academy students, and that's their major advantage, is they're out in the real world at a time when all of the other students in America are actually in classes at a university. So we think in the end, they're going to have actually more opportunity than the average student among the 50,000 at the University of Florida. But absolutely, career resources available to them, all the student activities are available to them, it's all here for them. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for raising that question. In fact, I was talking about Florida residents, okay? The legislature requires that the 25% discount be applied to Florida residents. Out-of-state students will be charged a higher rate. That rate is still under discussion, and what we're trying to do is determine what the appropriate rate is. Because this whole concept is so new, we don't actually know what the going market rate is, right? Because we want to be, we would like to charge a reasonable tuition because it brings money to the campus, but we also want to charge a reasonable rate in terms of the market because we want to attract the students here. So we have actually contracted with two external agencies, EduVentures and the advisory group in Washington, and asked them to do market studies for us and to give us some advice on what appropriate out-of-tuition rates for the online institute will be. So I can't tell you that right now. Probably Tuesday I will. Is that okay? Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.